The following podcast is taken from a live broadcast on Inspire FM.
Assalamu alaikum and welcome to the book club show on Inspire 105.1 FM. My name is Imrana Mahmood and it is today the 15th of August. It's just gone 10 o'clock. I hope you have had a wonderful morning so far. I think this is my first live session maybe for a couple of weeks, so I'm actually really excited. I'm in the studio and I'm also really pleased to be joined by my daughter today because obviously it is the summer holidays and I hope everyone's holidays are going well. It's a lovely sunny day today. I know we had a whole period of like constant rain, and of course, alhamdulillah, I know, like rain is a blessing, but I have to say, during the holidays, you kind of feel a little bit cooped up. And so when it's nice and sunny, you can kind of obviously get out and about. So yes, very pleased to be in the studio this morning. And today on the show, we will be talking to Zahra, and we are going to be basically discussing some of her favourite books, or also books that she's currently reading, what she's kind of got her hands on during the holidays. And hopefully by the end of the show, you'll kind of feel inspired to pick up a book or two yourself. And maybe even, if you've got your children around, you want to get them into good reading habits. So obviously when they go back to school, they're kind of in really, the right, I guess, frame of mind and vibe when it comes to, wanting to read and enjoy as well. Because I know sometimes reading can feel a little bit like a chore, especially if you've got a book that you're maybe not really enjoying or someone's kind of chosen for you. But I think the best experience is, being able to read for pleasure. So that is always, it's a blessing in itself. So basically I'm going to introduce our guest this morning. So I'm going to say Assalamu alaikum, Zahra.
Oh, alaikum assalam.
How are you this morning?
Good.
And let's start with, it's the summer holidays. How are your holidays going?
Good. We went to London to go to the Young V&A.
Oh, okay. So you had a trip to. Can you explain what is the Young V&A?
It's a museum for young people, made by young people.
Oh, okay. So it's called the Young V&A. Okay. So the V&A obviously is the Victoria and Albert Museum, which is, I guess, the main big one, so to speak, is obviously in central London. But you went to the new Young V&A. So whereabouts is that in London exactly then?
I think it's near Westfield.
Oh, near Westfield. So we have two Westfields, So I think the Young V&A is next to Westfield Stratford. And obviously it would make sense, right? If you have a day out trip to near the East London, you could also venture into to the shopping centre. So Young V&A is in Bethnal Green. So tell me then, what kind of things did you do there? What was there for children, I guess, to enjoy?
So there were three parts of it. There was a design place, a imagine place, and then where board games and what you used to play. Mm-hmm. So the first bit was imagining and stories that you'd make up and things you used to play. Mm-hmm. And then design would be the different things that people have made, for your childhood. And the playing area was kind of more of an interactive side of it.
That sounds really good. So three parts. So remind me, so there's design, so imagination, design and?
Play.
Fantastic. Yeah, those sound really actually quite fun. So then what kind of things did you see in the museum? Because the whole idea of a museum is it houses, kind of artifacts and objects that have some sort of, I guess, significance when it comes to history. What kinds of objects did you see in the museum?
We saw doll houses and toys in the Imagine area, and then clothes and toys, the cars you get. And then you push around in them.
Right. Okay.
Those. Mm-hmm. And then bikes and stuff like that. So that was that bit. And then the interactive was having board games. And then board games. And then having more games from like the future, like technology, like Minecraft.
Oh, okay. So more kind of recent, I guess, technology. So can you remember some of what the old board games were?
It was you use marbles. It's like kind of like a snake and ladders. I think it was called.
Is it the one that you move? It's got moving parts. Oh, Screwball Scramble.
Yeah.
Yes, that's what it was. Oh, right. Yeah. That's right. Because that was, I think, what was interesting for any parents, carers who are listening, who might be, around the same age I am, which is, I would say, an older millennial, without giving my age away. But it was actually quite unnerving to see lots of objects, I would say, from my childhood in that museum. And I just thought, oh my goodness, am I really this old? But I guess it's such a important aspect when we talk about kind of heritage, and we talk about history, and more importantly, how do we preserve this? And I think that's one of the wonderful things about obviously museums, that you have objects that come generations down the line, coming back to buildings and seeing how people used to I guess play, and how did people used to imagine what their future would be like. Of course, there is a whole discourse around museums and kind of the problematic nature, even I guess being in the UK and some of the well-known established museums where their objects have actually come from, where they basically, without, I guess, mincing words, stolen from other kind of lands. And, what maybe will be done in some point in the future, that do we return objects that were kind of taken without permission. There's a whole, I guess, conversation when it comes to museums and I guess, whose property it is and who gets to tell the stories around it. So, sometimes you might go into a museum and it's really interesting to read, the kind of the information plaque next to each object, and the way it's worded or the way it's contextualized. It can, by its very nature, be quite alienating. So, I didn't necessarily have that experience when we went to the V&A. But so I know Zahra just mentioned like the Screwball Scramble game. I don't know how many of the people listening in used to play that when they were younger. There was like a whole row of Barbie dolls, and I know at the moment Barbie is being really, really hyped because of the movie, so that was quite I guess quite interesting to see. There were like dolls of like the Spice Girls in this museum, the Young V&A. There was, I'm trying to think, like different board games and also games consoles, so like the Sega Mega Drive and I think the old version of the Wii. So there were so many things that as we were going along and I was looking at, thinking, oh yes, I used to play with that, or I wish I'd had that when I was younger because, other people did. Or anyway, so, that was definitely a wonderful trip to the Young V&A. So that was really nice, Zahra. Anything else that you've got up in the holidays? How is your reading going at the moment?
Yeah, it's going good. We're going to be talking about the 2 books that I've already read. And then I'm also reading Heart Crusher.
So you're reading Heart Crusher at the moment. So that's written by Sophia Omo, that's right? So we have interviewed, I did interview Sophia, who was the author of The Heart Crusher. I think it was last year, or was it early this year? Gosh, I can't actually quite remember. But obviously she's a wonderful, inspiring kind of young writer, an amazing achievement of having written, a whole novel at such a young age. I think she was 18 when she wrote it. So how are you finding The Heart Crusher?
Yeah, it's quite good, but it's kind of gruesome at the same time.
Oh, it's a little bit gruesome. Okay, so obviously the book is meant to be like a young adult novel, so I guess it's mostly for like tweens or maybe slightly older. Zahra has a slightly maybe more higher reading age, and that's probably the reason she's I said it was okay for her to read. But obviously, as parent carers, always suggest that you kind of obviously read the blurb, get a bit of an idea of a book, so you're making sure children reading age appropriate material as well. But yes, so The Heart Crusher, is something a bit different that you're reading. So how about, obviously it is the book club show, and as you said, we're going to discuss a couple of the books that you've recently read. And just to let listeners know, we are also on Facebook Live today. And if you have any comments about maybe how your holidays are going, what books you are reading today, I would love to hear from you. The number is 01582 481 822, or you can WhatsApp in on 07779 481 822. Right, so let's go to the first book that we are going to discuss today on the book club show with Zahra. So let's start with a popular one, because I know there's probably lots of children and adults who have probably read this. Unfortunately, I'm not one of them. But this is J.K. Rowling's Harry Potter, and Zahra has brought with her the one that is the Deathly Hallows. What number book is this, Zahra?
The last one, number 7.
Oh, it's number 7. Okay, it's amazing, isn't it? The fact that Harry Potter has 7 massive, humongous books, so absolute kind of props to J.K. Rowling for creating an amazing series. So we're not going to give spoilers away today, because there might be children or even adults who are reading this book and or maybe haven't yet read this book. Maybe they're on book 6 or book 4 and they really kind of can't wait to get to book 7. But what is it that you why did you choose this book in particular for today?
Because I think it was like a very good book, and it was very hooking, and there's a lot of plot twists in it.
Okay, so there's a lot of plot twists. So what is it about? I mean, I'm looking at the cover right now, and it looks okay. So you can see, obviously, Harry Potter on the book cover. You can then see who is obviously meant to be the one. Is it how did they say in Harry Potter, the one who should not be named?
The one who must not be named.
Oh, the one who must not be named. Okay, so he's obviously on the book cover. He's obviously kind of branding his wand around, and Harry Potter's looking at him with kind of this kind of defiance. He's standing on what looks like, some fire. You can see an image of like a gas ball type thing, which has the snake in it. So yeah, I mean, the book cover looks pretty, I'd say, spooky or scary. Would you say Harry Potter is a little bit, this book in particular, the Deathly Hallows, is?
Yeah,
like
it's
that?
quite dark.
It is quite dark. Okay. So what do you think then? So would you say, I mean, how old are you again?
11.
11. Okay. So would you say for someone who is your age that, this book is okay to read?
Yeah, I think if you're not very scared of something, or you don't get that much nightmares, I think it should be okay.
It should be okay. Oh, so do you think maybe for children who might be a bit more sensitive, that maybe they should wait until they're a bit older?
Yeah, like 12 or 13.
12 or 13. Okay, potentially, fair enough. So yeah, I mean, that is a really interesting thing, because when it comes to Harry Potter, I know with different, having spoken to parents, some have kind of just allowed their children, even at younger ages, like 9, 10, just to, because they get so into the whole the story, just to read all of them. Other parents, I guess, like myself, we kind of approached it with a staggered approach, basically. So I think I remember saying to Zahra, look, you can read, I think you started maybe when you were 9, is that right?
I think I started in the end of year 3 and the start of year 4.
Okay, so my maths is so bad, and I should know. How old would you have been about then? How old is year 3 or 4? Do we know?
I don't know.
Okay, neither of us know. If anyone can just work it out, I hope you can. But either way, I would say, yeah, let's say around 9. I'm sure that was how old Zahra was. So we said, okay, you can read one a year or something, or a couple a year. I can't remember how we did it. Maybe it was 2 a year, and we staggered it, and then it was almost like, okay, the next birthday you can read the next one. And I think that was for me anyway, a really kind of a reasonable way to introduce Harry Potter books, because obviously, as Zahra said, as you go further down into the series, they do get slightly darker. So just to ensure that by the time that, she got to book 6 and 7, she was a bit older. I mean, she'll be turning 12 very, very soon. But of course, all parents, carers, you're able to approach it however you think is best. and obviously you then have like the whole different scenario of obviously the movies, because obviously all the books have been made into movies as well, and then what age, you know, should children be watching the movies. So I think the rating for Harry Potter, is it 12, Zahra?
For the first 3 books it's like PG, but for the rest of them it's 12.
Okay, yeah, so that kind of makes sense, doesn't it, because the books do get a little bit darker. So just to, you know, for anyone who maybe hasn't read Harry Potter, who has or isn't yet on book 7, I'll quickly just read the blurb. But of course, I'm really mindful not to give away any kind of spoilers. But it says, "Give me Harry Potter," said Voldemort's voice. I'm just realising I'm not even going to attempt to do Voldemort's voice. Can you do Voldemort's voice? How would it sound? No, you can't either? Fair enough. Okay. So, "Give me Harry Potter," said Voldemort's voice, "and none shall be harmed. Give me Harry Potter, and I shall leave the school untouched. Give me Harry Potter, and you will be rewarded." As he climbs into the sidecar of Hagrid's motorbike and takes to the skies, leaving Privet Drive for the last time, Harry Potter knows that Lord Voldemort and the Death Eaters are not far behind. The protective charm that has kept Harry safe until now is broken, but he cannot keep hiding. The Dark Lord is breathing fear into everything Harry loves, and to stop him, Harry will have to find and destroy the remaining Horcruxes. The final battle must begin. Harry must stand and face his enemy. So Zahra, when you started reading book 7, so Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows, and you read this blurb, do you remember how it what you felt about the blurb before you started reading?
I think it was going to be kind of like very like it was going to be very hooking, and it was going to be quite a good book. Yeah, and then when I started reading it, it was already giving off like spooky vibes.
Oh, I see. Okay, so because I guess in some way book 7 and 6, because they're naturally, of course, they're linked, but it's almost like book 7 goes straight into the story. Is that what happens? Does it go straight in from how book 6 ended and goes into book 7, or is there so that's why. So you're literally thrown into the middle of like a really important part of the story, I assume.
Yeah, because normally like when you get to like, obviously because they're like nearer to the start, you have more of like a build up to it, to like the suspense, and then there's like a big like fight or something at the end.
Yes.
But like this is more like it's just getting right to the point.
Yeah, exactly. So because I assume that however book 6 ends, yeah, you're right. So I guess so it's almost like you don't even have a chance to gather your like thoughts and feelings, and like you said, there's no build up, you're suddenly kind of thrown into it. So I can understand why you're thinking, it was already a little bit kind of spooky from the beginning. So then like for what reason might you recommend Harry Potter for any kind of, you know, young children or young people listening?
I think it's quite good because like you like it's kind of cool because like you get to have like a new like place to go, like because like there's a completely new world in there, because obviously it's like a magical world, and then you get to like see all of that through Harry Potter and like the ministry, the like the schools that like the magical schools, and like muggles and like non-magical people and like magical people. So like I think it's quite good, and then like it's not as if there's just 1 or 2 books and then like it's finished. So then you get to like go through like loads of years, like it's almost if it's years.
Yeah, so I guess in some ways what's really interesting is if children do choose to read books, all the books, like I guess over time, it's almost like you end up, as you're growing up, Harry Potter's growing up, right? So it's almost like you're
growing up with him.
Yeah, like you're growing up with him, exactly. And so then how did you feel? So we're not going to give away anything that happens in the book, but when you finally finished book 7 of Harry Potter, how did you feel then?
I was kind of sad because like that was basically the end of it, but then I found out there was the Cursed Child book.
Okay, so and what is the Cursed Child book then? Is that like
it's basically like what is it called? It's not like a prequel, the other one.
A sequel?
Yeah, a sequel of like Harry Potter, because like right at the end it tells you like after like 19 years or something, yeah, like
But
how.
but I was just going to say, we're not going to give like spoilers away or anything. Is that going to give a spoiler away if you say that? Oh, okay, carry on. Sorry.
Yeah, and then like you basically see them in their adulthood. Yeah, so the Cursed Child is basically a sequel to that.
Oh, okay, so fine. So it's a sequel to the Harry Potter books. So yeah, I guess that's good. So you felt a little bit sad, but then you realize, okay, there's like a sequel books, so how many are those the series as well, the sequels, or is it just one book?
There's one sequel. I think there's like, because you get the Fantastic Beasts one, and then you get the like, I don't know if it's a book or not, but like the one on Netflix, The Crimes of Grindelwald, which you kind of find out in like the 7th book who that is. Yeah, and those are like prequels to like the Harry Potter series as well. Right,
okay, so there's lots going on. Okay, so that's really interesting. So I guess there's lots of material and books that you can kind of read. Okay, that's I guess good to know. So maybe anybody who is reading Harry Potter at the moment, because I think that is one of those things when you're very, very heavily invested in a particular kind of series of books in the end, it's almost like, I would say, in my opinion anyway, like losing a companion. I know I felt like that when I was reading A Suitable Boy by Vikram Seth, and I attempted to read A Suitable Boy when I was kind of like maybe an older teenager, or I can't remember how old I was now actually. And actually I struggled. I thought, God, it's such a massive book, because if I remember correctly, A Suitable Boy, I think, is like the longest English novel that's been written, or something like that. Because honestly, if you actually buy the book in its kind of full volume, it's a very big, heavy book. I can't remember.
It's 1,000 pages.
Is it 1,000 pages? Oh, right, okay. But that's because you've seen it in my bookshelf. You haven't read A Suitable Boy, have you?
No,
because obviously it's not a children's read. It's for adults. However, yes, so that was, and anyway, so coming back to what I was saying is that I attempted to read A Suitable Boy. I kind of gave up. I think I was a few chapters in, I thought, actually this maybe isn't for me. I then came back to it maybe 3-4 years afterwards, and what I used to do is, because I was, I think, studying for my degree at the same time, I used to maybe read a little bit here and there in between. So it took me a long time to actually finish the book. It was probably a few months, I think, because I was kind of just dipping in and out whenever I had time. But when I finally got to the end of the book, I actually felt really sad. I thought, it kind of became a part of my life and part of my routine that, I would just kind of open the book, read a bit more of what was happening in the story, and then maybe come back to the next day or a couple of days later. So definitely how Zahra was saying about how she felt when she was reading Harry Potter and then she finally kind of finished book 7, and that kind of sadness, there is something there. And I think actually it's so lovely to be able to experience something even, like that. So if anyone who's like, I'm not really into reading, or I don't have time, I think it's always really lovely if you're able to find a book that you can really enjoy, and then you will want to read, and you will want to make time to read. And reading for pleasure, it's such a beautiful thing, alhamdulillah. And it could be any type of book, it doesn't even have to be necessarily fiction. There's so many non-fiction books that you can learn so much from. There's biographies. To be honest, if some people might even prefer comics, and they obviously come in series, right? Because you've got different characters and you're following their story arcs. So whatever it might be, if you're able to kind of invest that kind of time into books, into writing, it's, I think, definitely really good for kind of our health and well-being. Right, so we've got, I think, just under a couple of minutes before we head over to the break. So can we just take that a moment to introduce what the second book, Zahra, is that you're going to be discussing in the second half of the show?
It's called Onyeka and the Rise of the Rebels, which is the second book in the series.
Okay, so we can tell, I think Zahra enjoys reading books that have like more than one book, which is great. So yeah, in the second half of the show, we will talk about this book, which is written by Tola Okogwu, and it is called Onyenka and the Rise of the Rebels. What was the name of the first? Do you remember the name of the first book? What was it?
It's called Onyenka and the Academy of the Sun.
Right, okay. So that sounds really, really interesting. So definitely what we will do is we'll talk about this book Onyenka in the second half of the show. I also have brought in a book of poems that, if we have time, we might dip into a poem or two to round off the show, which is called Poems from a Green and Blue Planet, and that's been edited by Sabrina Mahfouz. So yeah, again, if there are any poems in particular that you really enjoy, I mean, poetry books are amazing because there is a lot that you can kind of take from the words that are on the paper. Again, with poetry books, you can kind of like dip in and out of. You could even start in the middle of the book. You know, there's so many different ways of reading books. And actually, that reminds me, Zahra, there's another book we recently read at bedtime, isn't it? So we can maybe talk a little bit about that. But obviously, you'll have to tune into the second half of the show to find out what that book was. But in the meantime, do grab yourselves maybe a tea or coffee, maybe some biscuits, or, you know, a cheeky cake if you really, really feel like it, although it is quite early in the morning. And I will be back in a few moments with more books to discuss. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum, this is Atif Nawaz. Listen to Inspire FM shows in your time by heading over to inspirefm.org or listen on Apple Podcasts or Spotify.
Assalamu alaikum and welcome back to the Book Club show on Inspire 105.1 FM. It is 10:30 on the 15th of August, and I have my most amazing special guest this morning on the show, who is my daughter, Zahra, because obviously it's the holidays. It makes sense to then, you know, get a young person's voice. I'm sure, you know, some of you are probably quite bored and get quite bored maybe listening to my voice all the time. So I am joined by Zahra, and in the first half of the show, we were talking about a couple of the books that she's been reading currently during the holidays, and one of the recent books that she read was Harry Potter book 7, which is called Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows. So we're talking a little bit about the fact that, without obviously giving away any spoilers, why she enjoyed the book, the fact that, you know, how it kind of feels when you've invested a lot of time over a series of books, which can maybe take, you know, a couple of years or so to read, and you kind of have this sense of sadness when you come to the end, but also, you know, there's always the chance to, you know, discover more books, and that's obviously the best part of, I guess, having you know, enjoying reading and, you know, having like books, and of course I should mention the fact that even if you're not able to, for whatever reason, you know, want to buy books, you know, we are so blessed in Luton to have various libraries. You can literally walk into a library, you know, find a particular book. Actually, on that note, Zahra, maybe I would ask you, when you go to the library, how do you maybe choose a book? Like, what draws you to a book?
Like the illustrated book cover.
Okay, so what is it in particular sometimes that might make you think, oh yeah, I really like this particular like cover illustration? Because
like it's either very detailed, or like there's something that pops, like there's sparkling, or like because like, you know, with our Harry Potter books, there's like a goldish writing for Harry Potter. So
yes, because you can buy different editions, can't you, of Harry Potter? And yeah, I think the one we have at home is some sort of special edition of some sort. But okay, so that's really interesting. So so the first thing that draws you is what the book cover looks like. What's the next thing that you might do? Would you open the book and read a bit, or is it just the blurb? Like, what else then helps you decide whether a book's worth reading?
Like the blurb, and then like if it's like a good blurb, or like there's like something that like is like a plot twist that might happen, or like there's not a lot of thing like stuff, a detail. Yeah, if there isn't a lot of detail, I probably like won't get it, because obviously I'm not really sure. But like if there's some, like with the Harry Potter blurb, there was like quite a lot of detail in it, but there's also quite a lot of mystery, and I like that.
Okay, so a detailed enough blurb where you have an idea of what the story is, but obviously not too much. You want enough mystery that you're actually going to be enticed to actually read it. So tell me then, sometimes what libraries do is they have this thing, it's called like a, actually I don't know if they just call it mystery book or like a blind date book. So the idea is that they cover the book in wrapping paper, and they might have a little bit of information about the book on the wrapper itself, but the idea is that you just pick the book without actually seeing the cover itself. Would you try something like that, or would you think, oh gosh, I don't know, I can't see the cover, I don't want to risk it?
I try like for the first time, but like if I think that like I'm not really enjoying it, then I'll probably just take it back.
But would you, okay, so basically saying if you went to a library, you would have a go at picking a book without seeing the cover, like, you'd go and just see and you'd give it a go. Yeah,
but like if I didn't really enjoy it the first time, I probably won't do it again.
Oh, so you don't think you'd give it in? Interesting. Yeah, it's really, I'm definitely the type of person, I like to have as much information as possible before I start anything. I mean, that's probably because I'm maybe a bit of a worrier, maybe I get anxious, but yeah, because I know I had one of my wonderful friends bought me a gift for my birthday a couple of years ago, and it was by a company, I think it was called Rare Bird Books, something like that, and I'm sure there's plenty of other kind of outlets out there that offer the same thing, and the idea was that every month you are given a choice of 2 books, and again you don't get to see the cover, they just give you a bit of information. You have book choice A and book choice B. You then pick that and they would post it to your house, and that's when you'd find out, oh okay, so this is, and it was really beautifully kind of wrapped, and it was really nice every month to receive a new book. But I remember, saying to my friend, you do realise that I don't read books unless I've seen the cover, I've read the blurb, and I've got all the information. And she was saying, no, this is a really good experience for you, like really kind of let go of the idea of always having to maybe feel like you have to make a really firm decision. Sometimes it's nice to go with the flow. So actually, that was definitely a different way of doing it. I mean, I think I'm the same when it comes to movies. I mean, oh my goodness, I think I'm the same even when it comes to like chocolates. Like you get the different chocolate boxes, and you get the little info things on what the filling of each chocolate is. I mean, I know people, I don't know how they do it, they'll just pick a chocolate without, of course, these chocolates are obviously halal, I'm not talking about like non-halal items, but the idea they just pick a chocolate and not actually know what on earth is inside it, and then decide upon already chewing and ingesting it whether they like it. I can't do that. I need to read exactly what's in it, and then I'll kind of give it a go, and maybe that's a little bit boring, but that's me. Right, but of course we're not talking today about chocolates, we are talking about books, and the next book we are going to talk about with Zahra on the show is a book by Tola Okogbu called Onyenka and the Rise of the Rebels. So I'll read the blurb and then I'm going to ask Zahra to share her thoughts on it. So Onyenka is on the run. Having exposed head teacher Dr. Doyimbo's hidden agenda behind the Academy of the Sun, Onyenka and her superhero friends are laying low. But when their safe house is discovered, Onyenka must turn to the only allies they have left, a group of rebels called the Rogues. Joining forces, will the groups defeat their shared nemesis, or is there a new danger on the horizon? So right, Zahra, so why did you choose to discuss this book on the book club show this morning?
I think it's like quite a good book. Like the Harry Potter series is more like a suspense and like build up and stuff. Yeah, but this is more like a thrilling book. Yeah, like because like the first book is basically the suspense and build up, and then this one's just like getting into all the action. So like this one's about like how Onyenka has to like make like decisions, and like some poor decisions could end up like costing them.
Oh, so that's interesting. So is it almost a little bit about like her leadership skills or
yeah, and
like,
then also about like friendship problems and like how that and like how she needs to keep everyone together and keep everyone like good. with each other, because obviously they need as much allies as they can.
Right, okay. So can you explain a little bit about so what is an ally? Like, what do you mean when you say an ally, or who are the allies here in this book, Onyenka?
The allies in this book is the rogues, who the AOS, which is the Academy of the Sun. So like there's students there, and they think that the rogues are bad people, but that's only under the influence of the headmaster, who's actually a really bad person, called I think his name is Dr. Dayimbo. So like they think the rogues are bad, but they're actually like a good thing, trying to take down Dr. Dayimbo to stop like the like a really bad thing that's happening to all of them. But I won't spoil it for that.
Yeah, no, of course. So then, what is it about? What's the difference, would you say, between this book, Onyenka, Onyenka and the Rise of the Rebels, and what's happening a little bit in Onyenka and the Academy of the Sun? Again, like without giving away maybe too much information.
Onyenka is basically trying to get the academy back from Dr. Dayimbo, so then they can teach the students what's actually happening, and like not just under influence of them. And like how they're going to take back the school.
Right, okay, that sounds really interesting. And would you say these books are like quite similar to books that you already read, or or how might they be a little bit different?
It's a little bit different because I don't really read that much action books. Like this isn't too much action, but like it's like a book with quite a lot of like suspense.
Right, yeah, because I guess what we were talking a bit about Harry Potter, and Harry Potter's more kind of fantastical and magic, whereas this is a bit more suspense and thriller. So that's really interesting. So Tola Okogu is a British Nigerian author, journalist and hair care educator. She's born in Lagos, Nigeria, but raised in London. So she spent several years exploring the world of blogging, hair care, freelance writing, and then she finally returned to her first love, which is fiction. She's also the author of Daddy Do My Hair picture book series, as well as Aziz's Secret Fairy Door. So Onyenka and the Academy of the Sun is her first middle grade book. And so it's really great, I guess, again, when we talk about books and kind of who they're written by. So the fact that Zahra, this is a book written by a British Nigerian author, I mean, is that something that you were aware of? Was it, again, something that you felt kind of came out in the book itself, the fact that you're reading a book by like a woman of colour?
Yeah, because like you can tell, like, because obviously the second book is set in like Nigeria, and like obviously that's because like she's from Nigeria. And in the first book, like the main characters always talk about her hair, because she's got like Afro type hair, and then like how it can never fit in a swimming cap when she goes swimming. And I think that kind of connects, because she used to be like to tell people that you should love your hair. So I think that's kind of got to do with it, because she wants to show like that like people don't really appreciate their hair, because like how it looks, and how everyone would look at it weird, and then think she's some weird person, and then she used to get quite like self-conscious about it. But when she got to the academy, like her roommate kind of helped her like keep it like compact and like into a plait, and then she was kind of happy about it, because like no one used to look at her like weirdly or anything.
That's such an important point, isn't it? Because even though I guess that's not like the main part of the story, the fact that the author's chosen to include it is really important, because actually so many of us might just take for granted that we're able to, for example, get up and just go swimming and just get like what you would call I guess a standard swimming cap. But actually, for people who have kind of Afro hair, it's of course is really different. They need a different type of swimming cap. Their hair care is kind of different, and so and I guess that's maybe a different experience to reading, because by reading a book by different authors, by writers of colour, that's an amazing thing about it, because you will I guess learn something new. You're kind of educating yourself, and you again, and this is how we create empathy, and hopefully inshallah you're able to make positive change in our communities. And So, and the other thing I should mention is we bought these books, so both both books in the series, so Onyenka and the Academy of the Sun, and Onyenka and the Rise of the Rebels from No Ordinary Bookshop. Again, we are so lucky to be able to have an independent bookshop. You can find No Ordinary Bookshop in Luton Indoor Market. I have to say though, when I get to the market, I get a bit disorientated about where exactly to go, but definitely you just walk and you'll be able to see this beautiful little bookshop called No Ordinary Bookshop that is founded and run by a wonderful lady called Angel. So I highly recommend, if you want to get your children, even for yourself, books that by writers of colour, especially, you know, for underrepresented writers, you know, that is definitely a book store to go to. And I always do try to advocate that we support our independent bookshops. Of course, you know, we've got the mainstream ones, it's absolutely fine, or if you're getting your books online, but indie bookshops, you know, is definitely the way to go, in my own opinion, anyway, because we're supporting, you know, grassroots businesses. Okay, so that was Onyenka and the Rise of the Rebels. So do you know if this book will have like a third series, like another book to it?
Yeah. So there's gonna be another one, which is basically like after that, it's kind of meant to be like a sequel to it, like to tell you like if there's going to be something. There wasn't meant like a blurb or anything. Yeah, but I like the thing that I like, the reason I probably like stuck with this series is because I just finished the first book, and that in like January, and then I found out that in February there was going to be a new book. Right. Yes, and I was like, oh, that's going to be so good because I can just go straight to it. Yeah. Yes, and then I got that book, but now I'm going to have to wait till March 2024.
Oh, so is that when the next book is going to be out? Oh, okay. So what month are we in now? It's like, so there's still a while to go. But that's not a bad thing, is it? Because it's something you've got to look forward to.
Yeah. Maybe
you might get it for, I don't know, I'm not sure when Eid is next year, but maybe it could, you know, not that I want to give away what you might potentially get as an Eid present, but
it also means that I get to read other books while I'm trying to wait for that book.
Yes, exactly. You get to, and that's always something, you know, nice to be able to do. Discover new books and have the opportunity to do that. Okay, so on the show then so far, we have spoken to Zahra about Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows. We have spoken just now about Onyenka and the Rise of the Rebels. And we did very kind of briefly, I think we touched upon the fact that another book that we're going to read actually now is, discuss, is Poems from a Green and Blue Planet, which is edited by Sabrina Mahfouz. And what I was saying about reading poetry books is that you're able to kind of dip in and out of books, so you can start at any point, which is, you know, really nice kind of experience, I guess, when it comes to reading. But what Zahra book was it that we just recently read kind of together? And it's actually the second time we're reading it, which also you can kind of dip in and out of.
It's the book from it's called The Boy, the Mole, the Fox and the Horse by Charlie.
Yes, by Charlie McKeskey, I think is the right way. I probably should check how to pronounce that. But yeah, so The Boy, the Mole, the Fox and the Horse. Is that the right order?
Yeah.
Okay, good, because I always get mixed up. So definitely, I mean, that is a really beautiful little book. It's something that you can enjoy by yourself, but I definitely really enjoy reading it with my children. So recently we reread it and we had it as a kind of bedtime read where I was kind of reading it to both my daughters, and it's such a positive, really wholesome book. It's just each page, the illustrations by Charlie McKeskey are absolutely beautiful, very, very simple, but also very deep. And actually a lot of the messages that you can take from the book, you can read a page and, you know, have just a moment to pause and reflect. And, you know, if you do that with your children, I think is a really nice way to do it as well. But yeah, the reason of just mentioning that book is the idea that it's really lovely to be able to dip in and out of a book. And actually, the author even says in his introduction to his book that, you know, there's no expectation kind of for you to start at the beginning. He even kind of encourages just to even start from the middle if you want as well. So yeah, again, it's just a different type of book that if you don't already have, you know, I would definitely recommend it. Right, but we are going to come on to another book that you can kind of dip in and out of. So this is Poems from a Green and Blue Planet, edited by Sabrina Mahfouz. And what I was saying to Zahra was what we can do for today for the show is usually, you know, we might actually go and kind of onto the contents page and kind of pick a book and decide what poem we would want to read. But then what we also do sometimes at home is I just kind of go through the pages, and I'm going to ask Zahra to stop, and whatever page we land on, I will read the poem and then we will discuss it. So Zahra, I'm going to start, and then you are going to actually, why don't you tell me to start and then you can tell me to stop?
Okay,
wait, hold on. I need to get hold of it. It's quite a thick book. Okay, so you tell me to start and then I'll stop.
Stop.
Okay, so we have landed on a poem called Song, and this is by Paul Laurence Dunbar. A bee that was searching for sweets one day through the gate of a rose garden happened to stray. In the heart of a rose he hid away and forgot in his bliss the light of day. As sipping his honey he buzzed in song, though day was waning he lingered long, for the rose was sweet, so sweet. A robin sits pluming his ruddy breast, and a madrigal sings to his love in her nest. Oh, the skies they are blue, the fields are green, and the birds in your nest will soon be seen. She hangs on his words with a thrill of love, and chirps to him as he sits above, for the song is sweet, so sweet. A maiden was out on a summer's day, with the winds and the waves and the flowers at play, and she met with a youth of gentle air, with the light of the sunshine on his hair. Together they wandered the flowers among, they loved, and loving they lingered long, for to love is sweet, so sweet. So that was a poem called Song by Paul Laurence Dunbar. What do you think of that poem, Zahra?
I think it gives like quite a tranquil setting of it. Like it's just about like how sweet the landscape is, like the green field, and there isn't like not many people in sight or like pollution anywhere.
Yeah, you're right. It gives a very like beautiful setting wherever I guess the poem is placed, and even I guess at the beginning, a bee that was searching for sweets one day. Such a nice way to think about. Obviously, we always associate bee with obviously the idea of pollen, nectar, honey, but the idea that they're searching for sweets, I think, is really cute. And then the next kind of part of the poem starts with a robin, and so there's lots of reference to nature and to like winds and waves and flowers. So I think, and I guess it makes sense, right? Because the whole point of Poems from a Green and Blue Planet is kind of to explore the world around us through poetry. And the best thing about this book is it's a collection of poems from different poets. But obviously it's been edited by Sabrina Mahfouz. But there's poets including kind of Dean Atta, Kate Tempest, Holly McNish, Mona Arshi. So there's so many various poems that you can read. And again, I think the book is aimed for maybe kind of older children, I'd say. So you can kind of have a think about whether you think that this book might be suitable. So Zahra, do you want to have a go? If I give you the book, I'm then going to ask you to start and stop, and then you can maybe read a poem as well. So tell me when you're ready, and then hopefully we can land on a really interesting poem. So are you ready?
Yep.
Start. Stop. Oh, okay.
It's called Mother, after Elizabeth Barrett Browning by Oakley Flanagan.
Okay.
I think it's... Yeah. Okay.
Yes?
Yeah. Bad world, the newspaper print. Bad, bad world. Sad day, the adults say. Such a sad, sad day. But louder than the adult's pessimism, the child sings hope, nature's ancient rabble cry. In Mother Nature's garden live her generations of birds, and the child tending rosebuds, mindful of the thorn bush. Flocks of the birds above singing louder than the sighing. The child is the gatekeeper of Mother Nature's greatest gift. How its chorus rouse soars higher than the adult's cynicism. Flying way up, feathered wings outstretched, keeping the sky upright. Whilst we below look up to marvel at rich loop of flight, song, the condition of the good gardener, ever watchful of the bird, who never stops singing its song to wonder if it's being heard. The bird makes itself known by singing on and on, reminding us down here is earth we spring from, earth eternally. Like age-old waves carrying history in its lap, the constant splash of waves breaking, coming back. Stormy nights may feel never-ending, but when morning's melody wakes you half asleep, it heralds a new day with kinder colors up ahead, keeping faith in nature, returning to Mother's garden. Listen to the winds of change, watch time sweep, land transform, Mother watching us silently, seeing all. This is her gift to us, for us to cherish with our time, our care, our love. See the unending stars in their older glory, just as they've always shone. The moon and the sun, all loves in happy union, lighting each day and night. And Mother, who brought us into this world, asks but one thing from us. Remember what you are from. Quiet magic, the empathy of cooling dock leaf can teach. The humility an acorn must learn before it can become a tree. The generosity of a daffodil, its abundant yellow hue. A tiny sun shines brightly when unpicked, for others' joy in glimpsing too. Look how it seems to erupt from the deepest part of the ground. Mother's ancient law of the humanity resounds. All of us were blades of grass, changing seasonally, growing together, contended through the sun, sleet or snow. There are weeds here, not really that what the gardener grows, no matter how much the winds declined or
Thank you so much, Zahra, because we were ending to the show, but that was really wonderful. And thank you for your time today. It's been so nice to have you on the show, my John.
Thank you for listening to our podcast. Why not tune in to our live stream at inspirefm.org and follow and subscribe to our social media platforms at Inspire FM Luton.